got Sandip Sabharwal as well joining in on the show. Sandip, good afternoon. Kunal is willing to even walk it to Ahmedabad if need be, or train it, or bus it, do whatever it takes and make it for the India-Pakistan match. I'm sure you've also got your tickets booked already, haven't you?
No, I'm enjoying the Asian Games. I'm finding it's more fun actually.
To watch it on TV, or the Asian Games are more fun than World Cup?
As of now, I think I find Asian Games to be more fun. I think once we reach the final stages of the World Cup, then it might get more interesting.
Yes, absolutely. But Sandeep, in the near term, any plays that could actually aid this entire business of cricket and the parallel economy which runs? I mean, everything from a Zomato to an Interglobe to even an IRCTC is jumping up. I don't know whether that's the crude play or just a sentiment buffer or a brokerage upgrade there. But anything you think is good to bet on for the next month and a half?
Overall, my view for some time was that October, November could be tricky months for the markets. Now, what we've seen globally is that markets actually sold off in September. Most global markets sold off big time. India did not fall so much, and the mid cap index is hardly down from the top. So I think that's the only concern. Otherwise, for many of the sectors, especially hotels, I think there's a lot going for them in terms of a lot of like after G20, it's the Cricket World Cup, then it will be the peak holiday season, etc. So I think they should do well. Interglobe, Interglobe Aviation actually should have done much better as a stock, but I think the selling by the ex promoters, it comes up so periodically, and the magnitude of the selling is so large that that keeps the stock subdued. Otherwise, in the context of the overall aviation market, where uh, Go Air went out, Akasa has been forced to cut down its flights, etc. I think the entire aviation space is doing quite well.
Okay, so that's the take coming in as far as some of these plays are concerned. But we were asking these questions to our other guests as well. And Sandeep, the question is, which are the sectors you think are in for a purple patch going forward?
Purple means good, right?
I'm sorry, purple is good, yes.
So I think, so, in my view, domestically oriented sectors still are doing well. And like we talked of aviation, talked of hotels. Like I went to a couple of places over the weekend. Many of the hotels were just running full in the smaller cities also. So my guess is that Indian hotels should continue to do very well now. Actual results, I'm not sure how they'll come, but from the looks of it, things should be good. And from the Indian context, unlike in many other parts of the world, our spike in borrowing costs has not been even to a small level as what we've seen the global yield spikes. So to that extent, the economy seems to be reasonably well insulated ex of the exporting sectors like especially technology, etc., which we'll know next week how they're doing. So the entire capital good construction infra story continues to be strong.
Sandeep, this is a rapid fire, so you've got to be a little bit quick with these answers. What's a silly point for investors, and you think caution should be warranted there when it comes to Indian markets?
Technology and commodities.
Okay, and which sectors are likely to see a bit of a Yorker coming in? I'm guessing it's similar to technology only.
Technology could be maybe cement, where a lot of people are positive, but then cost pressures are very high.
Sandeep, you think will be good for a power play, a short-term bet?
Cash, I think short term is cash.
Okay, so then do you think the PSUs as well as the defense pack is likely to get into a LPW or caught behind?
Unlikely they'll get out, but I think they'll have to go through a phase of, let's say, where they don't do much.
So basically, Sandeep, just deriving from your earlier answer, you think IT growth will still remain under covers, right?
Yeah, very much so. So let's hope it doesn't, there's no thunderstorm.
Let's see if that Duckworth Lewis comes into play or not. But can pharma segment strike rate go through the roof going forward?
Somewhat, yes. It's underrated sector possible.
And what about mid and small cap, Sandeep? The pitch you think is still a good field?
Pitch is good. It's starting to turn, so people should be careful how they play.
Interesting, getting a bit of a swing there as far as that pitch is concerned. But is FII flows going to come back in the second innings?
Maybe not. I think it's a test match, so fourth inning maybe.
Ah, good one. Domestic consumption, you think, Sandeep, it's a reverse sweep for a boundary?
Uh, Tough to say. I think the batsmen will try, but then the fielders are very strong, so it might be tough.
Interesting one. But do you think Capex team at least is the one who's going to hit it out of the park and be the Yuvraj Singh for us?
Yeah, they've already been hitting. Now 4 6 is already done. Two more to go.
Okay. And SIPs and retail interest, you think that's going to keep the scoreboard ticking?
Very much so, I think.
You've been a good sport yourself, Sandeep, but talk to us about one stock which you think is on the front foot and one stock which is on the back foot at the moment.
Front foot, I would say, is Larsen and Tubro. I think someone who wants to play a low risk thing. And back foot could be Vedanta.
Okay, so that's a take coming in. L&T on the front foot, Vedanta on the back foot. Thank you so much for being a sport, Sandeep. But hold that thought. We are slipping into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we discuss more stocks, more cricket analogies and what's happening in the market on the other side.
Okay, back with closing trades, right here in 80 now, just tracking what the closing trades are doing. And today, of course, you're seeing a smart rebound. So we're holding on to that 0.5% gain mark. Interglobe Aviation, L&T, IRCTC, Titan, Infosys, TCS, they're all making a good comeback. And then HDFC Bank has seen quite the smart recovery ever since yesterday. Sandeep, the HDFC Bank, they came out, issued a cut in guidance, you saw the stock tanking. In fact, it's been quite the lag ever since the merger got announced. But now looking at the quarterly update, you think the worst could be behind us? Maybe right now is a good time to buy in if you did not buy into last year's weakness?
See, I don't think so. I think there's no hurry to buy HDFC Bank. Maybe it will not fall too much, but it's unlikely it will rise too much in the near term, given the fact that if you actually look at the CASA picture, that's not looking very good for them. So the margin squeeze could be worse than expected, and the NPA picture is something which we are unsure of. So I think let's wait out for the results. Let's see how it comes out. So I don't think there's any hurry to buy this stock.
So Sandeep, in the last month and a half, ever since the market did get a little brittle after that all-time peak, have you added positions anywhere? Have you made any new purchases?
No, actually, just generated some cash and just sitting on that, trying to see if we can get some better levels in the markets. And because even if the markets don't fall too much, I don't think they are going to run away. So just trying to see if we can get some better values.
That's a take coming in, not a runaway rally that you're in for. So just keeping the powder dry as and when you can allocate. But Nooresh, your take on what's happening to Utkarsh Small Finance Bank today, 18% surge on that counter. And the other one is SIS India. I know you might have not tracked these closely, but if you can spot anything on the charts.
So Utkarsh Small Finance Bank saw good volumes right away in the open and has continued the move. It's a fresh all-time high. All the data is not much, but technically generally is an indication of a major breakout here, but already moved up quite a bit today for actually a risk reward to be even calculated. Stock is up 15-18%. So still a hold, not a buy. SIS is something which has come up on the radar. The stock has been sideways for a really long time, ever since the IPO. 2017-18, the stock after making that move to 650, 700 a couple of times has just been around that 450, 500 mark. Technically, today is the first time it has seen some price action after a really long time. Would be waiting out if it can sustain above 480. That would be a confirmation of a trend change. So watching that one closely, the stock has given a good price volume action today.
Price volume action, but the price volume action is also quite strong, Kunal, on these electronic manufacturing companies, Syrma SGS as well as Keynes. Both of these stocks are sitting at life high levels. Syrma up a good 7%, Keynes too high by 3%. Despite the kind of solid run-up that we have seen on a YTD basis, would you buy into these names?
Well, the indicators are nowhere close to the overbought, even after such a steep rally for these names, because, time and again, these stocks have gone through a time-wise as well as a price-wise correction. So, for example, Syrma SGS, the August highs for the stock was around 575 odd mark, I think 575, 585 range for Syrma SGS. The stock corrected towards 520 odd mark by the end of August, and then start of the month of September, the stock went into a rally mode yet again. So that periodic corrections which come back into the stocks generally indicates that this trend is here to sustain for these names, because the indicators, they don't get into an overbought territory pretty soon, even after a sudden rally for these stock prices because of the occasional consolidations. So I think that makes the trade a lot more lucrative even at current levels.
Okay, point taken. Sandip, I wonder if you have become incrementally positive about some of the platform companies. Zomato, for instance, is up around 5%. Restaurant Brand Asia, not a platform company, but a QSR at that, also high by 5%. You think it's in the price? Let's add Jubilant and others and make it the full QSR discussion. What's your view?
So I think the entire sector has companies which have done very disparately. So on one side, we've seen Westlife continue to do very well. On the other hand, we've seen something like Jubilant perform actually badly, and many of them have been middling. Zomato obviously has almost doubled from its bottom, which it hit just few months back, and that was always the story. The challenge was to buy it at the right kind of time and then hold on. So I think whoever has bought lower, there is no reason to sell, because it's a duopoly of sorts, and if there is a turnaround in profitability, then the stock could continue to do well. Among the companies in QSR, we hold Westlife and we hold Devyani International.
That's interesting. So now let's get going on the charts as well. Westlife, Devyani International, Zomato. What's your reading here? Can one still look to buy these names?
Yeah, Devyani looks very attractive. So at 219 odd mark, the stock had gone through a major pain phase around the 170-75 range. And I remember, I think that was just about some 4-5 months back, May, June, where the stock had fallen for quite a bit of time and now surpassed the levels of 200, and it's now consistently up the base from that 170 to 200 plus for the stock. So it looks very attractive. Zomato also, I think in the last 2 months specifically, from I think 65 was the base for the stock around the month of May, June, moved up towards 90-92 mark. There were multiple attempts towards 102, 103 levels for Zomato, but the stock today seems to have finally broken out above that 103 mark. So that also puts into perspective that maybe we could be looking at 120 as a potential target, looking at the extrapolation. And from the other stocks from the similar space, I think even Vector Foods is something which I've been very bullish on start of this year, especially when the stock was almost at 400 odd levels. Now at 1000 plus also looks very attractive. Would look out for a higher target of 1250 on Vector Foods.
Okay, interesting. Since we are talking about Devyani International, the fundamental news flow on that one was the tie-up that Costa Coffee has done with some of the PVR properties. So that's the reason some of the analysts have written on it. And for the matter, of course, there was that Morgan Stanley note this morning wherein they have opened a 60-day positive catalyst watch, and that too supported sentiment on that counter. But on that note, Sandip, we let you go. Appreciate you joining us on the show. Time now to go across to my colleague Aishwarya as well to figure out what's happening to the World Cup fever when it comes to the hotel bookings as well as the entire airfare, because as we were discussing, Aishwarya, either things are sold out or they're completely unaffordable.
That's correct. The advanced bookings in terms of hotels, that means there's so much cheer that travelers are now booking making their bookings almost 30 days in advance. That number on an average was at 13% on MMT, but that has increased to 22%. 30 days in advance the bookings are being done. The average length of stay, that has also increased from 1.5 days to 2.5 days on an average. The ARR, those have also increased to 115%. 50% higher than the week before the match. So on the India match days, the prices are expected to surge even more, especially in the affordable segment. That is 2,000 to 4,000 rupees worth of room rates. That will go as high as 12,000, closer to the India matches, which is the most anticipated India matches: India Pakistan, India England, as well as India New Zealand. And some platforms are also saying that they will see almost 12 to 13x rate increase in overall segments. Now, the categories which are seeing a bump up is the hostels as well as homestay segment. They are the most popular on the Make My Trip platform, is what they're suggesting. Hostels at 35% and homestays at 22%, followed by all the other categories in the segment. Now, the bookings have seen a surge most during the most anticipated India matches, which is the first match which is happening in Ahmedabad at 200%. The India-Pakistan match is the most anticipated one. In Dharamshala, 605% bump up for the India-New Zealand match as compared to the average demand that you would see across the board during the rest of the year. In Lucknow, there's a 50% bump up for the India-England match, is what MMT is saying. Now, for this, MMT has also bumped up their inventory to almost 14 to 31%. In Ahmedabad, they've increased it to 31%, Dharamshala at 15%, and Lucknow at 14% overall. Now, hostels and homestays have been the preferred category, as I mentioned earlier, and Zostel is one of the players which provides dorm rooms, especially to millennials as well as Gen Zs. Now, between both of these categories, which are priced at 600 to 700 rupees, they also have increased 12x from their average room rates, almost 150 to 200% of a jump. They've seen even in their dorm rooms, they're now running at a cost of almost 1,000 to 2,000, and what they're suggesting is that closer to the match dates, the prices might go even higher, even at Zostel.
Wow, that's interesting. The prices have already surged, but there could be further uptick that might come. And thank you so much, Aishwarya, for putting that into perspective as well. But time now to slip into a very short break. But as we do that, we should play up what Gagan Bang of Indiabulls Housing Finance had to say. Because, of course, they are talking about how they've got the approvals for the name change to Sanban as well. They are going to focus on the business going forward, because that's the key focus area as well. Let's slip into a very short break, but listen into that bite as well.
So we had started the reorganization process from a governance standpoint about 3 years ago, which had several steps to it, including reorganization of the board, its various subcommittees, as well as a change in the very ownership that the company had, let's say, 3 years ago. So it started with Mr. Gehlot exiting the board. First stepping down, and Mr. Mundra, the former deputy governor, taking over as the chairman of the board. And subsequently, Mr. Gehlot stepped down from the board, sold part of his shareholding so that he could start the depromoterization process under the SEBI guidelines. And post various approvals, that process ended earlier this year in February. And since then, he exited the balance 9.5% that he had. So as per the information and records available with me, as of September 30th, Mr. Gehlot had no shareholding in the company whatsoever, directly or indirectly.
Okay, so you can confirm that he has completely exited the company, that 2% holding which was there earlier, it's not anymore.
That is
okay. Apart from